time to enjoy your cider. Okay, hello and welcome back to another Beaver DIY day. Today is bottling day and we have a busy weekend ahead of us. First up we need to bottle our berry cider. So this has been standing now for 14 days. After about 10 days I transferred it over into its second fermentation. So if you can remember from the video, we started out in the bucket. After about 10 days I transferred it into the carboy. Because it's nice and clear and I can see the sediment settling up, and I left it for another 2 days, added my bentonite, and yeah, we are now clear. So all the sediment has dropped out, bentonite, everything nice at the bottom. So what we're going to do now is we need to now bottle condition and get this ready to be drank. Okay, so what we're going to do is really simple. Remember the coconut that I showed you in the first video? This is the coconut, nice coconut shavings, or in Afrikaans klapper. So what we're going to do is we're going to add this to our bottling bucket. So all a bottling bucket is a bucket with a little bit of a spigot or a tap on the end, allowing you to control the flow coming out of the bucket, so you can fill your bottles easily. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take 2 heaped tablespoons of the coconut. Let's make it 3 heaped teaspoons. Okay, 3 teaspoons of coconut in the bucket. Why the coconut? Well, the coconut's just going to add a nice sweet flavor to your cider, and it's also just going to make it a little bit fancy with a little bit of floaties going around in your brew when you put it into a glass. Next up, we want to bottle condition or carbonate our cider. So as it's standing here, there is some carbonation in this, but not a lot. So if you want it to, when you open it, to make that nice popping sound, and also when you pour it into your glass to have that nice fizz, you want to bottle condition your ciders. So what I'll be doing is I'll be using jam. Now this is a strawberry jam to go with the berry theme here, and on the side of this you can see that there is no preservatives or anything, and it also says it on the front, just check for that. And this is 340 grams of it with 65 grams per 100 grams and wada, all that other fun stuff. But yeah, this is enough to bottle condition about 16 to 20 liters of your cider. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to transfer all the jam into here as well. Take a little bit of hot water, just rinse out the last little bit of this. Try and keep it to this size here. Don't add too much water in, because this here is only at 6%, so any additional water and stuff is going to water it down. So yeah, let's get into that. Okay guys, and remember, when making beer or cider, that type of stuff, the hygiene is really important. So make sure anything that touches the brew or anything that goes into the brew at any stage after you've pitched your yeast is sanitized. So get a liquid of or sanitary liquid or whatever you want, check bleach, whatever you want. Follow the recommendations on all the forums and that type of stuff that allows you to use that kind of stuff. But yeah, just keep everything clean. So all my surfaces, before I start, every time I wipe down with a bucket with bleach water and make sure everything is clean. The buckets get rinsed with bleach and then with a no rinse sanitizer, and so yeah, just make sure everything is clean. You've got your bottle of sanitizer here, just make sure everything, and I'll repeat it one more time, is clean. If anything gets into this, it's going to give you foul smells and foul tastes and foul flavors, and after all this time spending to make your brew and to have it ruined by something small like not keeping the stuff clean is a waste. Okay, so make sure everything's nice and clean. Next up, we're just going to stir all of this all together to get that jam into a nice syrupy liquid, so it's easier to dissolve once we add our cider.
Okay, so the goal here is to get all of these big clumps and all of the pieces all mixed and dissolved into the liquid. Yes, there will be some big pieces of strawberry or whatever, don't worry too much about that, but just get everything into a nice syrupy consistent mixture. Okay, so as you can see, we have everything all mixed and together now. And yeah, now it's time to start adding our cider. Give it a quick stir and then start bottling.
Okay, so now that coconut and strawberry flavor has filled the air, it smells awesome, by the way. It is time for us to move on to transferring this from this side to that side. So I'll be using my vacuum siphon. If you guys want to see how I made it, please check the card up top there on how I made the vacuum siphon. Yeah, if you want to make your own one, go ahead and make it. It just makes my life a lot easier. Yes, I know gravity will do the work, but at the end of the day, I'm lazy. So yeah, let's do the transfer part. And as always, guys, just sanitize, make sure everything is nice and clean before you start. So what I want to do now is I just want to check the height of where my tube should lay so I don't pick up some sediment. If you do grab a little bit of sediment, it's not the end of the world, because remember, we are transferring it into our transfer bucket, and that tap has a little bit of play down to the bottom of the bucket. So if you suck up some sediment accidentally and you leave this for about 10-15 minutes before you start the transfer process, that sediment will drop out again. Okay, so don't stress about it too much, but be careful. So what I want to do is I just want to check the height of this lance so it doesn't go all the way down to the bottom and it doesn't suck up sediment. Okay, as I get ready to transfer this, all I'm just going to do is the first little bit that comes off, I'm just going to steal it into my graduated cylinder, and that will then indicate what gravity we have here, and then I can check the gravity afterwards to see what kind of carbonation we're going to get. Okay, as that is just transferring naturally, all I'm going to do is just quickly check my gravity, because this should now be completely dry, meaning all the sugars have been dissolved, and this should ride on 1 or below 1. And it is exactly on, looks like 0.994, thereabout. Okay, so it's almost completely dry, or it is completely dry. There's no more sugar left over inside of this. So yeah, time to bottle. Nice, sour, great cider. Okay, so with any bit of luck, you should be left with a little bit of clear liquid on top of your sediment, and your bucket on this side, your bottling bucket, should have very little or no sediment in it, depending on how successful you were at transferring. So yeah, it takes a bit of practice. Don't worry about if you don't get it right the first time. Good tip to use while bottling is remember that transfer your vessel that you're going to transfer from. So this vessel here, the night before, either exactly where you're going to use it or as close as possible so you don't have to carry it around and then slosh around the sediment. Just from experience, just make sure that you leave it close to where, so on the table behind you, just transfer it over or something like that to make sure that the sediment stays below. Because if you're going to carry this from your kitchen outside or from a room to the kitchen, the sediment will kick up again and it's going to take a while for it to clear out. So the night beforehand, just transfer it to where you want to do it, and the next morning you should be good to go and the sediment should be nice and at the bottom. So yeah, now we're going to give this a quick stir. We are going to grab our bottles and start bottling. And while stirring, stir nice and slowly. Try not to incorporate oxygen into your stirring. So don't slosh it around. Just a nice and gentle stir to get
the bottom stuff to the top and the top stuff to the bottom. Stir for about a minute. Okay, let's quickly take a reading. It's not going to be very accurate right now, but it will give us an indication. So with the sugar added, we on a 1.010. So if you want to check on the hydrometer quickly, we're on a 1.010. So it's ready to bottle.
Okay, so the first bottle I will be bottling is a standard Coke bottle, plastic Coke bottle. The reason for this is, number one, I want to test out of this periodically what the flavor tastes like and at what point I should do certain things if I want to play around with the recipe, but also to test my carbonation. So I will be filling these bottles and leaving them out for about a day, maybe 2 days to carbonate, and then they're going straight into the fridge or they will be pasteurized depending on how dry I want them to go. So by adding it into my plastic bottle, I can actually feel how taut the bottle becomes, and then I can know how much carbonation will be inside of this bottle. Also, just to be a little bit cheeky, I'm just going to add a little bit of our coconut into each bottle before I fill it. Okay, so let's add the coconut. Yes, it's going to be messy. Okay, so time to cap them all. As you can see, we have started with the capping process. Now it's just time to get the last couple of caps on, and the caps are sanitized. So if you're lucky and everything worked out as planned, you should have a good stock of cider that you can enjoy in about 2 days' time. Okay, so we are done bottling, done conditioning, done adding our coconut, and all the caps are on. All we're going to do now is we're going to leave this for about 2 days. After day 1, I will check the carbonation by pushing on this plastic bottle, but at about 2 days we should have enough carbonation in these bottles so we can transfer it to the fridge and then allow it to get nice and chilled. Once it's chilled, you can enjoy it. I would suggest not drinking it straight from the bottle because the yeast and stuff will settle out once you put it in the fridge. So as always, guys, thank you very much for liking, commenting, subscribing. Check out my Instagram, all that other fun stuff. And yeah, keep the questions coming, keep the suggestions coming. I really do enjoy interacting with everybody. So yeah, thank you very much.